Good morning. Welcome to another day of Project Dig. Today is day 42. The meaning of life. Welcome. I hope you're having a good one. Project Dig is a 2D multiplayer automation survival sandbox game that I am developing here entirely on Twitch and uploading all the VODs to YouTube. Today we're going to be continuing to work on animations. We got them mostly working yesterday. The simple version, that is. So we'll be finishing that up and then moving on to the more complex spine 2D animations. I will show what we have so far, and then we'll just kind of go from there. Alright. So we have our fun little UI. We can create some little slimes. If I click deny, they all do that animation. And then if I click on them individually, they will play their little attack animation. I can make new ones. So that's what we have so far. The main problem with this right now is that their offset is not being set properly. I need to figure out how that needs to work. So that way, whenever they play their animation, they don't move so much. Like, it should kind of be where the origin, it's like center of mass is really down at the bottom. So, I mean, it kind of doesn't really matter where it's at. It just needs to be in a consistent place for the slime so it doesn't look like it's jumping around on the screen. So that's what we need to do. I have all of those numbers set properly. It's just I'm not factoring it in properly. That's my problem right now. I need to figure out how to factor it properly. So that's what we need to figure out. Coffee's too good. Let me refresh my Twitch page. All right. Okay. So you can see it just jumps down. This is actually being positioned at the offset. And you can see that's moving properly. But we should be moving the slime with the offset. So what we have is that the frame is setting the offset. Let's see if we can find this. We go up, 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 draw. Here we go. This will draw the origin and the offset. Like the origin of the sprite is the transform origin plus the render offset. I think it might make sense to have two. I'm not positive about that. So then we can look at our sprites. And down here we can see that we're using it. Let's go ahead and close this for now. So what we're doing here is that we're setting up this matrix. And we're saying, okay, let's set the origin matrix to be negative sprite origin X, negative sprite origin Y. And then we do a multiply here on the SRT with the origin to create the final model matrix. And then that's what we end up using here for determining the proper position for that sprite. But I have something wrong, and I'm not sure what it is. So I was thinking about like maybe just taking out some of the stuff. Perhaps we could try removing this. I don't think that's breaking it, but I honestly am not entirely sure what SRT. SRT is scale, rotate, and translate. It's such a common thing that they just have it as a single function. I know I had this origin working at one point. We'll play around with this a little bit here. We'll figure out what we need to do. Uh, oh, that actually fixes it. I was not really paying attention until just now. That fixes it. Okay. Wait, hold up. Let me go over to this entity layers. Let's not move this shape. Or maybe we'll just comment it out for now. Oh, whoops. Did I mess that up? No. So now it's offset like that. Yeah, that looks much better though. But now I need to figure out how do I would like to get this in the right position, right? Does it need to just be moved? Maybe I had that going the wrong way. Maybe that's my problem. It's complicated. So I think that would position it correctly, but I do think I need this other part here for oh, I see what my problem is. I think I need to have this be two separate things. Yeah, I think that's my problem. Basically, so the origin, and yeah, I should have realized this earlier. The problem is that the origin is like that's the origin where things rotate. I think that's right. Maybe I need to play around with the rotation. How can I do that? What's the best way to do that? The angle. Yeah, so what I'm thinking for this that we can do so the origin is how where things translate and well translate is kind of simple, but more of where things rotate and scale off of. And we might want that to be factored in, or we might not. I'm trying to think if we do or not. The best way to determine that, though, I would say, is let's go to our animation system, and let's just make it so that every frame that it's being animated or maybe just every frame period. Yeah, let's just do that. Every single frame that we're rendering that entity, this transform, where you say we're only reading it, but for now we'll kind of cheat and we'll also change it. Transform angle hey Ina, is it okay to ask any tips on crowdfunding? You're welcome to ask any questions you like. I might not always answer them, but actually I typically answer any question asked. Yeah. What was your approach with Korea? How did you advertise? Did you have lots of social media followers, etc.? Korea's Kickstarter was a long time ago. Yeah. I can try to scrounge up some advice, but it might not be all applicable nowadays. Whenever I did a Kickstarter, like I said, it was 7 years ago, which is pretty like for Kickstarter. I think Kickstarter was only around for like 2 years, maybe 3 years at that point. So I did it, yeah, a long time ago as far as like Kickstarter history is. But yeah, to answer your question, like I did not have a lot of social media followers at the time. We probably only had I had like a few hundred personally, and then the Seeds Games Twitter didn't have very many. I don't use Facebook, so I didn't use that. I was using a what is that called again? TIG source, the indie game source, forums. I was doing a devlog, and that kind of helped. Like it got some other game devs interested, which was nice. Any like the initial push is usually very important, and that kind of determines if you are going to be successful or not. Sometimes people will find your project later on in its Kickstarter cycle, and you will should do this. Yeah, and sorry, I guess I can't type and also try to talk. I lost my train of thought. Yeah, so the initial push is very important. Let's see, what else did I do? So yeah, I reached out to some friends and family. I think Kickstarter is that's very important for Kickstarter. I wasn't streaming at the time. I reached out to some of my coworkers. So it's just like kind of like the first push is really reliant on your friends and family, coworkers. And that kind of gets the ball rolling. You need some momentum to kind of go through Kickstarter. Yeah, I would just make sure, like, I'm assuming you're making a game for Kickstarter, or, that's what you're wanting to put up there. GIFs help a lot, trying to just show what your game is. There's a talk I actually just watched recently by Nick Popola. I forget his entire name. Let me find it on my YouTube history. Here we go. Popovich. There we go. Yeah. So this is called Making Games That Stand Out and Survive. So that's actually, I think, a very relevant talk for a Kickstarter. It's just talking, Nick talks about how to, make GIFs and try to make them attractive and sell your game in a GIF. And that's really what you need to be doing for a Kickstarter. You want to make sure you have a nice video. Some people put themselves in it, some people just try to show gameplay and that's it. I honestly think it's better to put yourself in it, so that helps. Just like make it a little bit more personal, because Kickstarter is kind of personal. People are trying to back not just your game but also you to some degree. So you're trying to sell yourself, not only the game. And yeah, I don't know. I think that's kind of it. I'll keep trying to think of more advice, but honestly, like if I were to do Korea now on Kickstarter with like everything the same except for there's just a different time, uh, I would like all the same content. It probably would fail because I think Kickstarter is a lot harder now. I was kind of lucky where like I was eyeing Kickstarter for about a year before I did Korea's Kickstarter, and then like 4 months before I did my Kickstarter, Double Fine Adventures kicked off, and that like blew up Kickstarter for games. Like, yeah, I don't know what the percentage is, but I'm sure like games were being funded at like 10 times or 20 times the rate. It was crazy. And it had started to already die off by the time that I did Korea's Kickstarter. Like, it was slowly going down, but games were being funded that probably honestly shouldn't be funded. And maybe Korea was one of those. I guess the initial push is important. People might be intimidated if they discover the project too late, as in time is running out and not much funding yet. Yeah, kind of. It's weird. Kickstarter is kind of weird. Like, some people, this is how, like, even though, well, at least this was the case whenever I did my Kickstarter. Even though Kickstarter won't take any money unless you hit funding, some people wait to see if you get funded in order to back you, and also some people kind of are sitting on the fence, and so they'll just wait until the end. So if you look at Kickstarter, like the funding rate, it like starts really high and then it dips down and then it goes back up. So it's kind of like a bull shape of like how much money is being funded or pledged or whatever every day. There's this one website called, I think, KickTrack. KickTrack. Yeah. That's worth checking out. This will show you like the top games, and you can see like, oh, this one just started. 1 day to go. Here's this one will have a lot of information, so you can see like how much money it's gotten, and you can see like here's how much money it got the first day, and you can see it kind of goes down and then it comes back up, and the last day will probably be even bigger. Yeah, so that's worth looking at, trying to gather some information. Kickstarter is a lot of work. 30 days tends to be the best duration. Yeah, there's actually a plugin you can get for Chrome that, at least it was, or an extension that allows you to put Kicktrack, or like it pops up at the top of every single Kickstarter page, which is pretty cool. So it looks like that's kind of right. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it definitely is rotating around that point. I like to do I think it makes sense to do that. To have it rotate around that point. Kickstarter's not available in our country, so we will have to do Indiegogo, I suppose, which is a bit scarier, but I understand the difference isn't huge. Yeah, honestly, if I was you, I would try to find like a friend or relative or something. There might be other ways to do a Kickstarter and have them do it for you, kind of, but then you can collect the money because Kickstarter is way better than Indiegogo. Like just as far as visibility, Indiegogo, if you have a big social network, then Indiegogo might be okay. Um, but I don't think Indiegogo pulls in nearly as much visibility and just like people browsing Indiegogo as Kickstarter. And this was especially true like years ago when Kickstarter was very popular and people were browsing it all the time. So I'm just thinking about the rotating. We can also do the scaling as well. Transform.scale. Oh, that's X and Y, right? Yeah. Probably just do the same thing. Whoops. Yeah, no problem. Glad. Yeah, happy to answer your questions. Hopefully it was helpful. Hopefully it's still relevant. But yeah, just keep in mind that it's been quite a while since I did that Kickstarter. I was just thinking, like, maybe I could scale it up and then say, hey, if it's greater than... Oh, that's not going to work. I mean, I guess I could do this. That doesn't work. Not here. But I do want to cap it off, so I need to do something like... I don't know, maybe it would be better to do a single line. Maybe I could just do this. If it's greater than 2, maybe 3. Then... Well, that's not going to work, really. Well, I guess if it's greater than 3, then... Yeah, I could do this. If it's greater than 3, then set it back to 1. Otherwise, add that. Okay, that works. I think the scaling is weird with this. Okay, that's a little too fast. Let's slow that down. Okay. So that seems to be okay. Why did I need that other one then? Or why was I doing that? Whoa, slime attack. Yeah, but that looks correct. Okay. So let's try one more thing. Actually, do I want to try another thing? I think that... I think this is okay. Maybe we'll try putting the origin where I click. I think I tried that at one point. So we can just say, so we set the position there, but what if I try setting the origin in the center then? Transform, bounds, set position, the center. Not bounds. Origin. Set. I don't think I'm setting the origin up here. Here I'm just saying the bound is 24, 24. That's one thing I'm not sure about, is that I think I need to be changing the bounds every frame. Ah. Like I really, oh here, oh that's right, I do that here. Trying to avoid getting the transform component here as well, but maybe I should just do that. This might honestly be best, is just to do transform here. And then we can update the bounds. So what we want to do is set the size to be the size of this. Width and height. And then we kind of would like to, like one possibility is to just set the origin, origin equal to the frame offset, and do that instead of doing this here. If we do that, then this should just work. That width, pixel rect, width, that size, wait, what's wrong here? Int to a float. Wait, with int and float. Wait, which one is a float? Bounds. Oh, is bounds a rect? Oh, whoops. Ah. I need to do a static cast to a float here. Hey guys, welcome. You are welcome to say hello if you would like, or you can lurk. Just calling you guys out, that's all. Function does not take. Oh, wait, what? Nani? Set. Oh, I think yeah, actually, let's just set it to 12. 12. Origin, set to 12, yeah, that's okay. Looking up a storm here, nice. Calling people out, I know. Hey, Sir Kane and Flint Steel. Welcome, guys. I'm like, no one's talking, and there's like nearly 30 people in here. That's interesting. Where is we? This looks so funny. It's just like, what is going on here? Slime storm. Yeah, it's a slime NATO. Slime NATO. So that looks correct. See how it's spinning in the center? That's actually right. So that's good. I don't think that... Got a render system. Right here. Oh, wait. Oh, maybe it is off. Hold up. I think I forgot to do something. When I create these, I think I'm setting the offset. Yeah. So that's always going to be wrong. Okay. Let's change that. What am I working on today? We are trying to get these animations correct. I think I have it now. I think so. That looks right. See how it's scaling and rotating based off of its point of origin? I think this is the right solution. Yeah. I should make it so that these rectangles and circles can also be given the same translation, the SRT. I'm gonna look at that. But yeah, I think that is good. The SRT. So I guess we would have to wait. If we wanted to do that, we'd have to set the position by doing something like this. So we would need to do this part here for the rectangles, which means that I think that's kind of a separate thing. Let's go ahead and kind of work on committing this. I think all of that's good. Oh wait, no. Component's not right. We don't want this offset anymore. We're going to scrap that. That's all good though. Okay, so let's pull that up. So we can discard that line, the offset line. Well, technically, actually, hold up. What we should do is set the transform origin to this. Right. And I should probably also set the transform bounds to this. Hey, Jeremy, how's it going, man? Good to see you. Hope things are going well. A lot of us end up scaling and rotating based on a point of origin. That's funny. How many of you live over 160 km, 100 miles from where you were born? Yeah, I was for a long time, but I actually just moved back. But hoping to kind of move again soon. Not going well. Oh no. I have an API I have to integrate for only users in the UK, and I have a super tight deadline. Dang. That sucks. Godspeed. I hope that you're able to figure that out and fix it quickly. This needs to be cast to a float. And the API is broken, so I'm waiting on the engineers to fix their end. That's the worst whenever it's like you have a deadline, but then the ball's not even in your court. Like, my hands are tied. Okay, offset. Here we go. This is no longer going to be moving by the offset. It needs to be moved by the transform. Whoops. Transform origin. But I will want to change that here soon. Yeah, it's like, and I think this happens for a lot of people. Like, I moved away for college, and then while I was in my 20s, and then I had a kid, and we're like, it'd be kind of nice to live closer to family. But we honestly really miss Portland, Oregon, and I think we'll probably end up back up in that direction in the next few years. So, but yeah, a lot of people still live near here. Near where they were born. Like a lot of people I know in high school, or knew, I should say. There we go. So, yeah, that still looks good. Okay, yeah. Looks good. Let's continue working on committing this. So that's interesting that we needed to remove that. Yeah. Kind of surprised that needed to happen. I want to keep this, but I don't really want to commit it. And I kind of don't need to commit that either. I might leave those out for now. Tech. We'll go ahead and maybe we won't commit that either, actually. We do need that. Guess we need that. We want these. We want this. We need that. Okay. So basic animations, animation support. Cool. So I'll do a recap really quick on how this is all working. It's kind of not entirely set up, but I have it mostly set up. So what we're doing is we have this this idea that each entity, and I think I wrote it out over here. Yeah, animation. So yeah, animation data. So we're talking about for each entity lives with the entity data. So it's all like next to each other. Maybe it will be in a separate file, but it'll be in the same folder. Like we might have a .animation file or something. I don't know exactly what that file format is going to look like. But we have that, and then we need to, during the asset pipeline, we're just kind of looking at what this says. During the asset pipeline, all of this animation data needs to be accumulated, kind of appended to something or whatever, and it's stored into a single binary file that we will have complete control over what it looks like. It'll be super fast to load up. And then we will get to this point here where we are loading. So this is where we actually need to implement the logic to read the animation information from the file. So that will happen here. So it has all of the data for everything. And so what is that data actually going to look like? It's pretty much this here, or at least that's how we need to set it up. So we have these. Why is it doing a end? Yeah, so actually I should just look at this. We have indices, animation indices, and the animations. So we have a mapping of hashed animation group names to index and animation indices for a quick lookup. So that looks something like oil slime. So I'm thinking that the animation group is almost always going to be the name of the entity that that animation belongs to. And so that's the animation group index. So what we want to do whenever the prefabs are loading, we can do a lookup here really quick that, and I have an example over here, that this is animation lookup this animation group. And so this will be associated with the prefab, and so we know what it should be. So we're like, hey, let's just, instead of having to look up the animation group by the name here, every single time we want to get an animation for this, like, you know, the oil slime, whatever, the prefab, the animation component, we just store that. And so we store that on the animation component as the index. And then whenever we want to play an animation, we need to look up the animation index using the animation group index and the animation ID. And so we do that down here, where we get the group index, and so that's, you know, that's from here, the indices, and we go into the animation indices. So the index, so if you look at this is a vector of a map. The index of the vector is the animation group. And then within that, it's a mapping of the animation name, a hashed animation names to the animation index within this huge vector of animations. And so it's kind of like we have this huge array of animations that represents all of the possible animations in the game. And then we have a lookup for the group index, which then goes to a lookup for the animation index, which finally gives us the index for this vector of all of the animations. So that way, whenever we want to play an animation, we have the group index, and we can just give it the animation name, like what we do here. We say, hey, let's play the move animation, or look up the move animation. And it finds that and here and gives us the index for the animation, which we store here in the animation index. And so that way, if we're ever like, hey, I want to get the frame or get the animation, we can just give it the animation index. I probably should provide an override for just like the animation index if we ever want to just have that. And yeah, then we can also get a specific frame. So like as it's playing the animation, you know, multiple times a frame, we only have, this is just a lookup and a vector, which is very nice. Whenever we play an animation, we do need to do, where is that at? Here, we have, since we have the index for the animation group cached, it's, you know, we do one vector indexing, and then, which is basically like free, and then we'll do a lookup in our hash table for the animation name. And that's it. So we only do one lookup every single time that we play the animation, and that's it. And the rest of the time the animation's playing, we're only doing a lookup, or like two vector, or actually it's just one vector with the animation index. So the cool thing about all of this is that we have all of our animation data stored in one place, which means that we don't have it copied per entity, but it's still pretty cheap to be able to get access to the information. You know, there's that like balance of trying to keep the data, like the amount of memory low, but also keeping things fast. And, you know, usually there's a trade-off for that. I think this is actually better for both, because there is a cost to, you know, storing this data. Every single time we would create a new entity, we would have to copy over all of this data, which, you know, could be some effort. And then also, if we're storing it inside of the animation component, that means every single time we get access to the animation component, if we have a ton of data that we're having to load up, then that could be expensive as well. So hopefully this is better. We'll see. There's definitely some things we could try to do to like optimize this. Yeah, just like you know, trying to do all of the entities of the same animation group. Like I don't know how we would do this right now, but like if we had all of the entities within the animation group next to each other, then that would mean that it could go faster because we'd have less cache misses when we're trying to access the animation information, because it would be kind of all the same. You know, we'd say, okay, get this oil slime move animation information. Okay, now get this oil slime move animation information. It's like, oh, it's already here. Or maybe sometimes it'd be like, okay, now I need the attack animation for the oil slime, whatever. And then once it's done with all the oil slimes, it can move on to the next. But I don't really know how we could do that yet. It might be that maybe we would want to like do something specific for the animation component, like sorting it a very specific way. Right now we're not doing that, but we can always look at the data and play around with it later. It honestly might be fast enough as it is. But yeah, so that's how the animation system is working. I think it's pretty cool. We do need to come up with a way to not a way, but really just like the final binary file format, which is pretty basic. We can see it really laid out here, where it needs to contain the frames. It's like for every single animation, or it's like first we specify this is the group we're working on, the animation group. Here's an animation for it, and we keep adding animations. And then, you know, we'd probably have a list of animations that we would have. And then it would need to specify if it's being looped or not. And then if and another interesting thing here is that that's definitely interesting. Like one thing we could try doing is instead of having an animation component that has a looped flag, we could make a animation component and an animation looped component or something like that. And all the looped one does is that it just loops. And then we would have these two different functions. One would have this loop information here, and the other one would just do this. And then we wouldn't have to have this check at all. And it would remove that that conditional check here. I don't know how important that is because it's not happening that often. Like it has to be going through two other conditionals first. You know, first it checks to see if it has finished the frame, and then it has to check to see if it hit the last frame. Another thing I should do is make it so that if it doesn't get animated, I guess it gets deactivated at that point, huh? I guess that works. Yeah, that works. So like, let's say that the idle animation, it doesn't loop and it just leaves the and it doesn't have any frame information. If we look up here, it's just like, yeah, it has a single frame and the duration is 0, which means that it finishes the frame immediately and it becomes deactivated. And maybe what we could do, actually, we set the animation index, the frame time, the play time. One thing we could do is say that if we don't have it here, we'd have to get the frame for the first one. That could work. But we could say if the get frame for this animation duration is equal to 0, then we could Oh dang, I just realized that we're activating. Yeah, I guess what we should do is do this here. We should activate it if it's greater than 0. Otherwise, we should deactivate it if it's not already inactive. And that will actually check to see if it's inactive. Right here. Right here. If it's active. Yeah. So that way if we try to play an animation that actually isn't animated, then it won't do anything. I guess technically it could have, I don't know why we'd ever do that though. Why would we have an animation frame that duration is 0, but then we have like the next frame, it has more frames that are set? I don't think we'll ever do that. This basically says that, hey, this animation isn't actually animated, it's just a still frame, which sometimes happens. But yeah, so we need to set this up. I don't know about the looped. Yeah, it set the frames, which is just it's 3 points of data. The text direct, the origin, and then the duration. So we need to come up with that, and then before that we also need to come up with what does it look like for the entity itself, which we haven't figured out, and we'll figure that stuff out when we do the scripting, which will be over here. So maybe in like 3 weeks or something, we'll do the scripting part, figure out what that needs to look like. So I might hold off on doing this until then as well. I think so. Yeah. Oh, I was wanting to... That's right. I was wanting to see if I could quickly, somewhat quickly, add in support for our sprite, where we have our shapes. We do have color, scale, origin, and angle. I don't think I'm using those though, huh? Where is it at? The shapes. Here we are. So for like the rectangle, yeah, we don't use that. Okay, so I kind of have support for it, kind of. What we need to do is pull over this information. So that's the vertices. This is the position, color. Wait. Oh, I see. So we set up the vertices and then afterwards I go through and I update the position with all of this information. Why do I even put the width and height in here if we're just going to be changing it though? I don't completely get that, but okay. So that's for line. This is for rectangle. So it goes right here. So this would be the shape, origin, shape. Wait, it doesn't have an origin? Well, it does. Oh, it's the rect. Whoops. Yeah, this is auto rect. Get if. Yeah, that should work. Oh, it's a pointer. So this is rect position, rect. Oh, this would be the area, right? Area. Something kind of like that. Liquids. Okay, so do I need to do anything else with that? So that's for the vertices. I think that looks okay. I mean, we're probably doing more work. Well, I think we could just set that all to 0 in this case. And we honestly might be able to like figure it out up here. Like I could set all this up and then what, it just takes that position, yeah, position 0 and position 1, so it changes it. Oh, you know what? I think we do need to change this to be 0 then. Yeah. Yeah. So because we're translating it here, and so that means that this needs to be set to 0. Why is that negative? Oh, that's right. That was so it was like exactly right. I don't know if we still need that to be -1, but let's just switch this to 0. All of the 1s are set to 0. And then I think this needs to just be the width and height. I think that's right. Okay, let's just see if this works without changing the origin and the scale and angle and all that fun stuff, and then we'll try doing that. Okay, area. Oh, right, it's a float. Annoying. Okay. If this works, I'll move some things around. Okay, so that is still rendering, so that's good. So now what I'd like to try doing is over in our entity layers here, let's just set up our shape to have the same information that our transform has. So let's go look at our shape. So it's area, color, scale, origin, angle. Area, color, scale, transform.scale, origin, angle. Origin, angle. That should work. Wait, what's wrong with this? Did I miss something? It has 5, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. Origin. That should all be good. Rect, color, vector, pixel vector. Yeah. I'm actually going to do this. What am I doing wrong here? Thought that was the proper way to pass that in. Apparently not. I know I do that kind of up here. Yeah, with the sprite. Yeah, how is this wrong? Oh, maybe because it needs a const ref? No. Okay. I don't really know what I'm doing wrong here. It might be that one of these is wrong. Okay. So let's try this. Yeah, cannot convert initializer list to rectangle shape. No constructor could take the source type. Or I guess it's like, since I have a constructor set up for the rectangle shape, I can't do it this other way. Is that right? Huh. I didn't realize that was the case. So if I want to do this, I need to add in another overload, which takes like a const vector scale, const pixel vector origin, and a UN16 angle, and then let's put it on a new line here. So we have scale, origin, and angle. So then I'm guessing that this now works. Yeah, I see. I guess because it's not a pod, it doesn't take, you can't set it up like that. I didn't know that. I should look at that. So now, hopefully, if we did this right, the rectangle should rotate with and scale with the entity, and so it's like perfectly around the entity. That's the goal here. Love is the answer. Ayo, nice. That's perfect. That is actually perfect. Nice. Awesome. We don't have the circle doing it. Cool. Circles kind of make sense. Like, it doesn't make sense to rotate a circle, right? Like, why would you ever do that? But we could add in support for the origin and scale of the circle. And maybe even, oh, we have support for color. Yeah, so origin and scale. Angle doesn't make sense. So we could do that as well. Let's first clean this up though, because it's doing some unnecessary things here. Like, first of all, this is all bad. What we could do is, like, really what it's doing is it's just taking this to get our vector 3 position, and then it's applying it to these. And so the challenge is that it's kind of hard to put that in here. Is to say, like, hey, given -1 and 0, I want it to be x and y. Like, how can I do that in a nice way? Why no rotation of a circle? Well, I'm talking about a circle shape that has no texture. So you couldn't even see that it's being rotated. Because if you apply a non-uniform scale to a circle, it's not a circle anymore. That is true, actually. That is a good point. So if we scale it so, like, the x is ×2, but y is 1, so it's really fat, then we rotate it by 90 degrees, then now it's going to look like the y-axis is very fat, but it's actually not. Yeah. For sprites, we would have it being like, that's fine. But we're just talking, these are like primitive shapes. You know, it's a line, a rectangle, a circle, and they're just used for like debug rendering. But I was trying to get it so it's actually kind of nice, so that way, like, in the future, let's say that we're working on just like some, like, I don't think we're going to have combat in the game, but let's say we had combat in the game and we're like trying to figure out, hey, let's see where the spear is hitting. Then we could actually like have that rectangle set up properly. At shaming the circles. Yes. That's me. Go to the gym, circle. Get tall. So yeah, I would like to figure out a good way to do this. I'm not sure how. Um, so the view Z and the color UID is the same for all of them. So I was like wondering if maybe I could just iterate over this here and add them in. Spear fix confirmed. Ah. Not sure. I really don't know how I could do that in a single pass. If I could do this, I guess I could do it up top. That's the only way I can think of. Yeah, that I think that has to be it if we want to do it. Is calculated kind of like what we did with the x1, y1, x2, y2. We'd have the 4 positions up top. I wonder if that'd even be faster. I don't really know if that's going to be any better. I know we can get rid of that. I'm not sure. I'll have to think about this. I don't know of a better way to do this, to be honest. Like, this is ugly, and I know that there's a better way. I'm just not sure of the best way. Because we need this information in order to do this. Circles are going to be interesting to try to do. We could try to add that in. So we would say scale, origin, and angle. Oh, we have scale. So it's just origin and angle. We have a center. Center. Is that not the origin? I feel like that would be the origin. We always, yeah, I'm pretty sure the center is just the origin. And maybe that's really what I should be calling it. Right? I mean, I guess we could... if we ever wanted to scale it or rotate it not around in a circle, then that kind of makes sense. I guess, yeah, I could kind of see that. Where it's like, oh, let's actually rotate it on like kind of the bottom left side or something. I guess. Steps. That's how many like circle or lines it has on it. So let's see how this is going to look. This will be interesting for the circle because I think we just have to go through every single point. We calculate all the vertices. We might be able to do it right here, honestly. Um, sorry, I'm a little distracted. Yeah, I think so. I think we could do it right here. We have all the vertices. X count. Okay, ghetto it up and use a quad and then have a pixel shader draw the circle. Interesting. So what we could do here is say that this is we take this. This goes right here. This goes right here. And then we have the pause X, the pause Y. I think that's it. Oh, and then this needs to change to circle, not rect. Area. That's the center. Circle. Scale. Origin. Okay, I think that's all right. And then what we want to do, oh, we have that set up, right? We want something the same as what we did before, where we go up to the color. So we have center radius color, but now we need these other ones. Scale, pixel, vector, origin, and then a UN16 angle. Okay. We have the origin set to the center right now. Oh yeah, this goes on, but this is all happening inside of our physics system. Here, draw. That's a line. Here's the circle. We need the transforms. Transform scale. That's so annoying. Origin. Angle. There we go. So we have that set up. And I think we'll, in order to see this properly, like really, we need to change the origin some. The origin might be a little weird. This might be wrong. Actually, what we probably need to do is set. We'll see. Wait, what? Redefinition. Oh, whoops. Both of those are the X. I see. This one I cast to a float. Other one I don't. Why don't I just do this then? I'm having to cast it there anyways. Then we don't have to do that cast. Oh, it's still compiling. Okay, let's try that again. These compile times are honestly kind of bad already. I hate it. I think we might need to spend a day trying to like figure out what's up with that. Our circle disappeared. Where's our circle at? So we broke this. Some really large number now. But why? So the center's at 422, 240. The origin's at 12. That kind of makes sense. Why is it so large? It's like just a little bit off our screen. So I think that if I put it up here, whoops. Yeah. You can see the circle is orbiting. You can see the larger the scale is, the further away it goes. Whoops. Also, the closer to 0 it is, which means that we're moving it incorrectly. Yeah. Oh, you know what? It's probably one of these over in here. I think we're changing or setting. So we translate it by the origin. I think we might be moving it twice, right? I think that's right. SRT, yeah, the X and Y. Yeah, that's what we're doing, is that I need to remove the X from here, right? I think that's it. Right, because... Oh wait, that's a little tricky. X plus... Actually, maybe that is right. That might be right. Okay, let's try this now. Because I think we're adding the X position twice. X and Y. So the position is being added twice. Once in the SRT and once when we are multiplying it. close. It's actually really close. I think it's the origin is wrong now. I think that's the case. We'll also try having a non-uniform scale. See how that goes too. But first we'll get this working. I think it's the origin. Like in this case, I believe that our origin, wait, where is it at? In physics here, this should just be 0. And then it will be right. Maybe. Or maybe what it needs to be is like the area center minus the origin, and then we provide the origin. Man, our frame rate's dropping like crazy. I need to look into that. Oh, that's close. We can see that the origin isn't really moving, which is kind of right because of it's rotating around the center. Where let's go to where we set up our game object. So in here, wait, where do I set the text effect? Offset. Am I set? Oh yeah, that's right, it's down here. Yeah. That should be rotating. This is definitely wrong. What is this? In this case, the center, so we get the center. Okay, I think I know what the problem is. Thinking about this. It's that here we say area.center. This really shouldn't be the area center. It should be the area position, get position, and then we should be providing the transform. I think this is what we need to do. Transform origin. Oh my gosh. Stop. My computer's struggling here. Okay, I mean, that's kind of right. But why is it not? It's rotating around that point. Just thinking about the math here. So it's center. Basically, what we wanted to do is be positioned in the center here. Yeah, I think that for the circle, it's different because we're having to rotate or put things in the center of the circle. Like everything is relative to the center of the circle. So like in this case, really what we want is to have it so that the circle origin is in the top left corner, which means it needs to like be centered and then have the origin subtracted. Or it's not the origin, it's like the... What I think it should be is the... Yeah, the radius. It needs to like subtract the radius from it, right? I think that's the challenge. Is that the radius needs to yeah, the radius should be subtracted from the origin. Let's try that. I don't know if this is right, the center. Hey, Nordic player, what's up? How's it going? Hey, Steve Void. Yo, yo. I think I might need to go here. So it'd be like plus. Maybe it's actually minus the radius. Circle radius. I think we're kind of moving in the right direction. Good, and you? I'm good. I'm good. Trying to figure out the right math here for this. It might be that we need to then also change it back to being the center, I think. Because it's like we're kind of translating things by the radius, and then we need to like subtract it from the radius as well. Oh, look at that. Nice. I did it. Siege victory. I wasn't too sure of that change, but I was like, I think we need to do something like that. Okay, so now that we got that, let's try the non-uniform scaling. That's in here. So maybe the best way, or what we could just do is have it so like one scales faster than the other, and then there would be off. Like there'd be non-uniform. Thanks, guys. Oh yeah. Nice. That looks good. That's perfect. Excellent. Cool. So last thing to do, actually I'll pull the game back up. Is I want to get it so that this line is still pointing to the center as well. And then I think we will be good. So this is kind of a weird one, right? Because it's like, it's just a line. So it's like, there's the start and the end. But we kind of also need to apply the scale, the origin, and angle. So it can kind of, right? I mean, kind of. Another way we could go about solving this is that we have the SRT and we could apply that to the start and the end before, and so we calculate that beforehand basically. We have the scale, so it's like we have to change the origin and the angle. Yeah, it kind of is weird to have that on this. So in this case, it might make more sense to do something like this, where we say, let's go back up here. We have this origin and this, all of this right here. So let's go to our, and this is something like I might need to figure out a better way, like maybe make a function that does this, probably. Hey, Robert, how's it going, man? Good morning. Looking forward to this weekend. Be fun to see you guys. Where is it at? It's in physics. So we have the line shape here. So our previous position and area dot center. So that's what needs to change. Is that we need to actually recalculate those here. So we can set this all up here. I need to do an include. And so this is where I'm thinking maybe what would be best is if I have a function somewhere that does this for me. So I can pass in a position and maybe a transform component, and it gives me the transformed component. Maybe even add in support for a rectangle. That's what I'm kind of thinking. So that way I could easily say like, hey, give me the transformed rect for this, and then I could, and I would need to figure out how to do that. I guess it's always the same. Yeah. So that way I could just like, you know, have these like get a transformed rect, which I guess doesn't quite work because, and maybe I need to have support for a more complicated rectangle. I guess that's one downside to having a rect that has a, yeah, I didn't think about that before. It has the width and height. Like it'd be kind of nice to have a rectangle that has x1, x2, y1, and y2, so that way I can check to see if it's contained within that area. And we kind of do that. I guess I could calculate it, right? So Well, kind of. Yeah, it's kind of messy. I'll have to play with that. But that's the goal, I think. Refactor this code a little bit. But first we'll just get it working here. So we have our origin. Our rect origin is going to be the transform origin. Basically all of the rect will change to transform. That's bounds, right? Yeah. Multiply vertices. Yeah, so this is we're not going to do that. What we need to do is we have our previous position. So we have like let's see here, what should we do? So this returns a bx vec3. Previous pause, which would be we need to do this. So this is going to, this right here is the previous position. Dot x dot y, and then we get the previous pause. So then we need to just like do previous pause dot x dot y, and then the center. Maybe I could just rename this to like start and end. So the end, we'll just take the center. Unfortunately, that's a little ugly. We'll be cheap right now. And so then we need to set up the center. Or the end.x and end.y. So then we can get rid of this. And we need to include all of this bx stuff. Hey Froggy, how's it going? bx math, that's it. So yeah, this won't stay living in here. We're going to move this. I just wanted to throw this in here for now and see if it works. So this is calculating the line shape. So the goal would be that we would have, and I don't know where I want to put this. I might put it in math. We have a math.cpp, so that might make sense. Is this like a transform position or calculate position? T to float. These all need to be cast to a float. I think this right here too. Oh, this probably is also unhappy. Boo. Because this needs to be cast to an int. These casts. It's ridiculous. Uh-oh. We don't see, yeah, the lines are like screwed now. I think it's the same thing. I am doing it twice, right? Yeah. Oh, because we're providing it within here? Wait, I'm providing... What am I providing? The X and Y. What's the X and Y? It's the transform bounds.x. Wait, do I even want that? Uh... I think... Well, let's try this. This is kind of weird. Because I think I'm doing it twice the scale. Because of this, right? I mean, it should be rotate. Okay, so that's the problem, is that I'm also rotate. Okay, that's true. That I kind of don't really want to be rotating it around. Yeah, that's true. I don't know what I was thinking. What do I want to be figuring out here? I don't really want to rotate it. Trying to figure out. Yeah, so I think I'm going about this wrong, honestly. I think I'm doing this wrong. Really, what I want to be doing is trying to figure out the center of the rectangle after it's had all of these transforms, right? That's really what I want. So I shouldn't be applying all of this to the line. What I should be doing, I think that's the case. I mean, maybe you could do both. But what I think I really want is to transform the rectangle, the area, and then afterwards transform the rectangle and then calculate the center, right? Wouldn't that be better? And the center would just be to get the x and y, like x1 and x1, x2, y1, y2, and then just get the center of that. Subtract, take the absolute value of that, divided by 2. add it to the actually we might not want the absolute value. It'd be like x1 minus x2 plus x1. That should work even if it's less, because if it's less then it would be negative. I think that's right. Yeah, let's go ahead and put this into a utility class math. Oh, I have nothing in here. Cool. So we'll do something in here. What should this return? Not sure yet. I almost wonder if I want this to be on the... No, I don't think I like that. Yeah, so for now we'll just do a rect, I guess. Probably makes sense to do a rect. So it'd be like rect. Maybe even just do like rect SRT. And it takes a rectangle. And I'm also going to pass in a transform component. Yeah, I think something like that would work. And that's going to do exactly... So the problem with this rect, returning a rect, is that we actually... Yeah, I need the component. Or I guess actually I can say const, wait, no, not const, struct transform component. There we go, that should work. So yeah, the thing that sucks about this is that it's actually going to need to be, or can we convert it over into, I guess we can. It's a little weird, right? No, we can't. This doesn't work. Yeah, because let's go ahead and pull this up over here. Maybe we'll even take a screenshot of one of these. See if we got a good screenshot here. Sure, that works. So let's just take a look at this. So we're trying to figure out what is this actual Still don't know what happened to this. It's really weird. Got changed. So we're trying to figure out what is this rectangle here. So normally our rectangle is an XY, so one position up here, and then it's a width. So it'd be like, okay, that's the width and the height, and then it can automatically determine what's the last coordinate based off of the width and the height added. So it's just like, it's pretty much two positions or two vectors, but what we need here is technically four vectors. We need the x1, y1, I don't even, it's like x1, yeah, x1, y1, x2, y2, you know, x3, y3, and x4, y4. Because we can't just say like, oh yeah, this is the, like, we can't use the width or height because we don't know if it's actually contained, right? I think that's the case. Like, this is the challenge with having it be a non-uniform rectangle. Thinking. I feel like this is unnecessary. Wait. Oh, you know what? I think I might know what the problem was over here. Is that the previous position is being stored? Ah, yeah. Okay, that's my problem. I was like, wait, something's wrong here. It's that we were transforming the previous position and the current position by the same transform. So really what I needed to do is like store the previous transform, like a copy, like transform component, previous transform. That's just the area.center, and the area is that. And I think that's okay. I think this was my problem. Okay, let's try this, because I'm thinking like, oh, we could still probably use what I started working on, but this should probably work a little bit better, right? So we kind of actually need to do two of these. We're like, okay, let's do this one up here. And what we need, all of these transforms, this needs to be the previous transform. We honestly probably could even just store that or something. Like we're technically calculating this twice every time. Oh, and we're also doing all of that. Like I think it will actually clear those anyway, so I don't need to keep redefining them. Yeah, that makes more sense. Oh, whoops. I'll just do that right now. So actually, I think here when we do start this actually really should just be a 0. That's the X. Oh wait, no, that's AZ. Scale Y. Well, that's the angle X, angle Y, angle Z. Okay, that's the angle that it needs to be rotated at here. So that's wrong. This is what we want to change. TX, transform X, transform Y. And then I think, honestly, this is just 0. Which is kind of weird to do, and there's probably a better way to go about doing this. In that case, oh, this probably still needs to be a float, huh? Yeah. Whoops. Oh wait, I can just replace it with the 0, right? Right. Okay, so static. I don't know if this matters, but like, I think both technically work. I might be wrong on that. Oh, whoops. We don't even use those X and Y. Okay. I managed to screw that up. Okay, let's try undoing what I just did. 'Cause maybe that was wrong. I don't think it makes a difference, but maybe it does. Origin. Transform, translate. Yeah. Well, maybe I do need to clear that out. Oh no, okay. So actually, yeah, that's not quite right. Well, it's because it's translating it, or like we're scaling it, but we don't really want to scale it, right? Yeah, I think I'm just thinking about like doing this in the wrong order. I think that's ultimately what this comes down to, is that I need to figure out the transform for the circle and then get the center. I mean, for the rectangle and then get the center. Right? Because we can see, like, this isn't moving. It really should be. We removed the angle, but, like, technically, shouldn't it be moving with the angle as well? Yeah, I think this is just wrong. I think I need to calculate the rectangle and then do it the other way. I was thinking I wouldn't have to. Like, let's say I want to figure out a point within a like, does a SRT'd rectangle contain this point? I was thinking I could just transform the point and see if it's contained within the rectangle. But I think that's wrong. I think I need to do it the other way, which is transform the rectangle and then check to see if the point is contained within it. So get the final rectangle. I think that's just what I need to do for this. I wonder if they have anything like that in BGFX. We can check BGFX. Alright. Yeah, I think it's... Oh, there's a BX. Okay, yeah. BX, maybe math. You can go look in there. What do they have in here? Plane, vectory, Turnian. I don't know. Maybe I'm doing this wrong. I'm not super comfortable. Certain about this. Yeah, I guess I just need like 4 vectors to store that. So maybe I need to make a special vector or rectangle in here. Like what would it be called? It's a non-uniform rectangle. Maybe a complex rect? That makes sense? Rectangle. I don't know if that is... What does that even call it? Maybe it's a different type of shape. Well, it's just like, it's not an axis aligned bounding box. That's the thing, is that it's a non-axis aligned bounding box. So I kind of need to figure that out. Non-axis aligned bounding box. Yeah, that's kind of what I'm wanting to do. Is to have it so that I like translate it to local space. That's really what I'm wanting. World to local and local to world transformation matrices. If one applies a scaling S of translation T on an AABB, one obtains another AABB. If one applies a rotation, one obtains a NAABB. Typically, the corresponding transformation matrices are multiplied as follow: TRS Thus, translation is applied after rotation. Since the R component must be included in the world to local transformation, you need to include the T component as well. The S component can be included or directly applied to a unit centered at origin of world coordinate. The inverses. Motion bounds operator. I mean, I imagine animated transform. Interesting. I imagine it is all contained within this. I think I'm making this be more complicated than it needs to be, honestly. It's that my math is super rusty. Basically, what I'm wanting to do is take a point Yeah, I'm doing something wrong here. Maybe this is wrong. That it isn't being cleared because I feel like this should be right. Maybe not. I'm probably not. But yeah, I feel like all I really need to be doing is taking a point and converting it from world space to local space for that rectangle. Oh, whoops. This is not using SRT2. Yeah, I'm doing something wrong. Uh, Man, I wish I could figure out a better. Like he talks about it here, and it makes most sense for me. Interesting. Um, like I need to construct and that's what I was thinking I was doing here is making this model, which is basically like this model is what allows me to convert the coordinates. But it doesn't actually seem to be converting it. Um Maybe that's my problem, is that I need the inverse. That might be it. Inverse transform point. Maybe that's my problem, is that I am calculating it the wrong way. Direction vectors. Inverse transform point. Yeah, I think that's my problem, is that I need to be doing that. Inverse transform point. So here it does this multiply. Invert quaternion. That's great and all, but like they have this transform, but I don't know exactly how that's. The transform contains that. I'm such a noob. But still Unity. Transform world space vectors to local space. Is it really the dot product? Math band transform point. Brain is not working. I'm about to just move on for now and come back to this later. Yeah, I definitely need to make some functions to do this nicely though. Stack Overflow isn't working for me either. Yeah, I don't know why I'm struggling with this. It's just like, the problem is that my math is really rusty because I've not dealt with this stuff for like over a decade. I don't remember any of it. And the challenge is that you kind of need to know what you're looking for in order to find what you're looking for. Let's look for transform inverse. Or maybe inverse transform. Okay, actually this looks pretty good. First equality means t reverses what s does. We call s the inverse of t and denote s. Pillar. Yeah, okay. Honestly, I think this contains the answer. I just need to actually wrap my head around it. Man, I am just not. This isn't working out for me. Okay. We just won't finish this for now. I'll come back to it later. I don't know why I'm on the struggle bus here, but I really am. Go ahead and commit the stuff. We don't really want that. We don't really want this math stuff. That doesn't really do anything. We don't really need that either. Actually, I think I might discard this completely. That does mean that I need to change. Oh, I think I accidentally committed something that I did not want to. Yeah, I need to get rid of that. And then in game.cpp, where I do UI manager initialization, which should be right up over here, doesn't take the world anymore. Hey, Laurencio, what's going on, man? What's the question? So I'm trying to figure out how to convert a position in world space to local space for a specific. Wait, why is that not working? Into a local space for a specific rectangle that has been transformed. That's weird. Maybe I don't need that in that case. Huh. Transform with scaling. Yes, scaling, rotation, translation. So you see that line? See how it's all being weird? What I wanted to do is have the line in the center pointing to the center of this other one here. I'm just not sure what's right. This is like pure chaos. uh, Funny. Ship it. Looks like you can make some money. Yes. It's pretty much better than what I came up with for Korea, so I think it's pretty good. Yeah, I don't know what's up with that. I was kind of just like, you know what? I'll figure it out later. Like, bin simulation. We had a little slime NATO going on earlier. Kind of funny. Anyways. So yeah, I'll just come back to this later. I think we'll just call it good for now and work on something else. Hey, Stevoid. Let's work on something else. I was kind of thinking maybe we'll just work on the animation binary format for now. Maybe that'd be good. I can just come back to that. Maybe we'll start digging into spine 2D. So this guy started working on a spine SDL. So we're looking at 2D animations. I'm probably going to end up doing my own though. Yeah, I think I'll end up doing everything myself. So maybe what we want to look at is spine C. So spine C, so I guess I should first talk about what is spine period. Spine 2D. Showcase. Sure, we'll look at that. So spine lets you do some cool things where like this is the sprite sheet here. So you can see here's a sprite sheet for this animation, and here's the like actual sprite sheet for the individual frames. And so it pretty much allows you to have like super nice, smooth animations that's 2D composed of these like smaller like little pieces. And so here's an example like stuff you can do. You can like transform things like mesh deformation, and yeah, it's pretty cool the stuff you can do. You can like show the bones. So it has like bones and triangles that it's all figuring out how to like render everything. That armor is so ridiculous. I love it. Kind of not really, but it's pretty funny. Yeah, so it allows you to do some really cool things like bones, and it's moving it around, and yeah, just lots of stuff. So that's spine 2D. Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy. You can do some really complicated stuff with it. At that point, why have armor? Yeah. One sec. Okay. Anyways, so I want to have support for this in the game. I think this is really cool, and I'm pretty sure I'm going to do this. There's a small chance that I end up doing like simple pixel art, but I think I want to go a more complicated animation style that, I mean, it's not going to be quite like this looking. Like, I don't even know what this is. I guess it's painted, illustrated. Um, yeah, it'd probably look more like, I'm thinking kind of like oxygen not included. Hey, Janara, what's up? So if you look at oxygen not included, you can see what the graphics look like. That is not what I was going for. Open image in a new tab. Here we go. So you can see like it's still kind of small, but it's like an illustrated style. It's kind of like Don't Starve or something. And so the cool thing about this is that you could have this like kind of nice looking graphics, and to create an animation you can have like, let's take this, I don't know what this is, a water cooler or something. You could take that and break it into a few parts, like maybe the there's like a bottom, a top, a center, and this little meter, and you can have it like as it's like shake, it could like shake kind of as it's working, and then maybe if like once it hits full, or maybe if it breaks, it can do something. You can also have it so the meter actually is changing based off of like some skin or something like that. Like over here you can see some meters, so you can have those graphics like it's all one entity, and you can actually have it be changing, like transforming that texture, whatever. um and then like over here you could also have that thing like shaking, and maybe it's letting out steam every once in a while. Just stuff like that, that I think would it could look really nice. And so you could kind of have this more alive world, like by being able to do that type of animation really easy. Whereas if it was like pixel art, it would be a lot of work to try to make it look like it's shaking. um and then if you're wanting to like change other things, it would be even more work. And yeah, so that's why I want to use spine 2D. um So I'm looking at this Spine C. It says for pure C++ API, you might consider the third-party library or third-party spine runtime Chocolabs. Spine CPP. We can look at this from Spine 3.4. What's the current version? Like, I know they would be keeping theirs up to date. This is at 3.6. Let's look. Support. No. Maybe in the blog. What's their... I guess I need to read their license. I should probably read that, huh? Push up to spine script. That sounds cool. What I was really looking for... Oh, that's the blog. I guess that works. Yeah, here we go. 3.8 beta released. Look at 3.7 released. Oh, interesting. Nice. That's cool. I like that art style. So much stuff. Find CPP. And what is this? That's cool. Do you need the license? I will need one. I don't need one at this very moment. But I should read over the license agreement before I start really investing a lot of time into this. I don't see the spine CPP one. I want to try to find that. Run times. Okay, here it is. Oh, cool. So they added this in. Nice. I guess I could have found it in here, huh? Yeah, they should update this. They say right here you should use this one, but they should update it so it says that you can use this. Did you use many third-party tools for Korea? It felt like most of it was self-built by you. Let's see here. I used some, like, I used quite a bit. So I used SFML. So tools. Whenever you say tools, do you not mean libraries? If you don't mean libraries, then yeah, like I used Spriter, which is kind of like Spine. Spriter. Which I don't want to use again. I think it's not as good of a I don't know. I feel like this is like the indie version of Spine, and I'd rather just use the nicer version, Spine. I had a lot of problems with Spriter. I would say it's like kind of amateurish like Korea is. So they were kind of a good match, but yeah. I'm wondering if I can find just a like showcase for it. I wonder if they actually say that Korea used it. They don't. Oh, that's yeah. Yeah, for libs I used a number of libs. I don't see like screenshots of this, but it's just it's not as good. For libs. It's called externals here. So I use Boost, I use Bugsplat. I don't know if I actually used curl. Maybe I did a tiny bit for a few things. SFML, theme kinda, I guess. Log4C+, RackNet. So yeah, those are the bigger ones I would say is RackNet, SFML, Boost, Bugsplat, definitely. Boost is pretty much entirely replaced by this like modern C++ though, so yeah. Like smart pointers and a better for loop, like the range for loops and file system, whatnot. They need to hire real web dev, yeah. Yeah, Spider is just like I hate harping on them, but like it's just not as good of quality as like Spine. And I speak from years of frustration where I try to use it and it just like doesn't work well. You know, it crashes and that sucks when you're trying to actually work on something. And it behaves oddly sometimes and you can't do certain things that you feel like you should be able to do. So yeah, if you want links to those, just let me know. I used to have them all, but yeah. Like Boost, you don't really want. RecNet, yeah, it's okay. I don't know. Bugsplat is still pretty good. I would probably use that again. SFML is okay. If you want to see all of the libs I'm using for projectDIG, you can go to dig.seedsgames.com. Which is just up in chat. And that has like SDL2. I'm using BGFX, so I really should say like I don't know. I guess I should put that on a new line, huh? BGFX. I was thinking that was rendering. Fmod is for audio. Spine is for animations. RecNet would be for the multiplayer netcode. Luajit and Soul. He actually released Soul 3, which is pretty cool. Soul 3. I don't know if he has it on GitHub. Okay, it's still Sol 2. Sol 2 3.0. I'm confused. Is it Sol 3 is Sol 2 3.0? Okay. So yeah, Sol unit testing, I'm using Catch 2. Analytics, I'm not doing that yet. Crash reporting, I'm not doing that. But yeah. Those are all the libs. Quite a bit. Like, I'm writing a lot of my own code, but I'm also trying to leverage existing libraries and whatnot as well, just because I don't want to have to write my own. Then the game would definitely take years and years to do. My hair looks crazy. It's getting long. Hey, Laurentio. Yeah, no problem. Thanks for stopping by. Good to see you. I'm streaming every day, so you're welcome to join anytime. Catch you later. Okay, so Spine CPP. Runtime provides basic functionality to load and manipulate spine skeletal animation data using C++. It does not perform rendering, but can be extended to enable spine animations for other projects that utilize C++. Note this library uses C++ 03 for maximum portability and therefore does not take advantage of any C++ 11 or newer features such as unique pointer. That's fine. I don't care about that. You're welcome to evaluate the runtimes and the examples we provide in this repository free of charge. You can integrate this spine runtimes into your software free of charge, but users of your software must have their own spine license. Please make your users aware of this requirement. This option is often chosen by those making development tools such as SDK, Game Toolkit, or Software Library. Sure. Basically, like if you're developing Unity, you can add in support to Unity, but then anyone using Unity and wanting to use Spine has to have their own license. In order to distribute your software containing the Spine runtimes to others that don't have a Spine license, you need a Spine license at the time of integration. Then you can distribute your software containing the runtimes however you like, provided others don't modify it or use it to create new software. If others want to do that, they need their own Spine license. That's fine. I need to read over that license still. Should be fine, but yeah. Extra loader class. Okay. Okay, we can look into this and see how it's working. Yeah, dang, that's a lot of code. Not too surprising. Load atlas page path. That should be pretty easy to do. I'll have to figure it out. For the textures. So what's the license cost? Pro is $300. If you make more than 500K a year, then you have to have the enterprise. Dang. That jumps up. I'm guessing that's a difference in. Okay, yeah. No, there's a trial, there's the essential, and then there's the pro. I see. So essential is just missing some features. And then if you make more than 500K a year, then you have to buy this. Oh, it's only 1 year. Dang. So you have to pay $2,000 per year to use that. It sounds like if you have professional, then you don't have to pay. Annually. It's just once. Spine professional to be used by the specified number of users for a period of 1 year. All updates provided after 1 year must be licensed again to continue using Spine Professional or the Spine runtimes. I guess that's not so bad. Like, I can develop it. So that's kind of weird, isn't it? Dragon Bones route? It's free? I've never heard of Dragon Bones. If you're making that much money, it's not that bad, yeah. It's only if you're making 500K every year, it's not so bad. Yeah, it's definitely not. And like, how much development time is it saving you if you are truly using this? It's the same as Spine. I've never heard of it before. Dragon Bones. I don't mind paying money, honestly. I just want to use the best solution. Yeah, it does look pretty similar. I don't know how Spriter plan to like be successful with this competition. Curve editor, onion scan, packaging. What I'm interested in is, do they have runtime? Oh, here it is, runtimes. They don't have a C++ runtime. They have this, I guess, that kind of recommend C++ runtime. Okay, SFML. It's interesting that they do SFML. I guess it's just because that's kind of easier. They're almost identical features. It's the pro version. Is it still being developed? 5.6. Hey, Steve Ward. I'll catch you later. Hmm. That's nice. Yeah, this definitely looks nice. I don't know if I would want to use it. Like, I honestly don't mind spending money. It's not that much. And it's only while I am actually developing the game. So it might not be that bad. Like, I maybe would have to spend $2,000 if I make over $500,000. It's not that bad. Yeah, it's not bad at all. Like right now I could go with the professional because I haven't made $500,000, that's for sure. The one thing I like about Spine, if you were a Unity user, I would definitely recommend Spine, but you roll your own engine, so Dragon Bones may be the way. Just go back to sprite sheets, right? So the one thing I like about Spine over Dragon Bones is that like I had never even heard of Dragon Bones, and I would like to find an artist that is familiar with Spine and like even the like the overhead of learning Dragon Bones, if you already know Spine, is probably not that large, but I'd like to like cut that down as much as possible. And so yeah, I'm just kind of thinking like I think I'd rather use that. If you look at it like this is obviously I think a Chinese. 1 second, guys. Yeah. Can you tell me again? What do you want? What are you getting? A burrito? Yeah. Have a burrito. Do I have a burrito? I don't see a burrito. Are you going to go get a burrito? Are you asking if I would like one? Yeah. Yeah? You want a burrito? Okay. I'll have a burrito. Burrito hype. Burrito hype. Burrito hype. What? Hey, Totoro. Totoro. Where is a Totoro? Okay, you run off now. Okay. I need to get a new Siege Rage. Like maybe Siege Rage 2 with Kaylee's hair. New hair. Bye bye, Johnny! She closed the door. Yeah, Kaylee's adorable. Absolutely. Yeah, so like I mean, honestly, Dragon Bones looks cool. my concern, like if I was an indie, like just wanting to play around with stuff, I would probably use Dragon Bones. But because I'm wanting to make this more professional game, there's, you know, these other considerations I want to, or I need to factor in. Like if I need support, it might be harder to get support because they're obviously a Chinese developer, and so I'd probably have to like figure out my own stuff. It does seem like it's very used, and so I probably wouldn't really need much support. But yeah, it's just like, and then the other factors, you know, someone is much more likely to be familiar with Spine that I'd be working with than with Dragon Bones. But this looks cool. Thanks for sharing it. Yeah, but I think I want to stick with Spine. I don't care about like the 300 a year, or this is only once. I only have to pay $300, and then if I need to upgrade to an enterprise license, I can. And it's, in that case, is like it's not that much of a deal. It's like, oh no, I have to spend, you know, 2.5. That's like what? That's 2% at most. 2% of my earnings on Spine. It's not that bad if I'm actually like taking, you know, advantage of it. Yeah. Let's poke around with this Spine CPP. This, I kind of wanted to see how it's used. Like what, I guess, you know, a lot of it is I don't even have to like do much with it. Like there's only going to be a few things that I interface with. I wonder what those are. Okay. Here we go. This is what I really wanted to look at. Excellent. Siege Enterprise. Hey, party sheep, welcome. Okay, so load spine skeletons, load texture atlases, throwing the images. Oh, so they actually load the texture atlases. Interesting. Wonder where that's happening. They have the JSON file. Where would that be at? Math util, bone, attachment, atlas, skeletal data, skeleton. Manage and apply skins to the skeleton. Manage and apply animations to the skeleton. Manipulate and compute data required for rendering and physics based on the current skeleton pose, slots, and attachment states. Okay, you provide the file I/O and image loading. Render the data generated by the Spine CPP runtime via the engine's rendering system and optionally integrate the data with the engine's physics system.
Open the door. Stop. Come on, Kiwi.
Following section gives a brief engine-independent overview of the Spine CPP runtime and how to use it. Loading spline assets. Okay, so I think I have a lot of reading to do. So I'm going to do this later. Maybe we can work on something else for a little bit longer. And then I can read over this later today after the stream. And then we can finally start working on that tomorrow. I want to look up spine 2D. Maybe it's esoteric or whatever their name is. Who is that again? What's their so that's the hashtag. Oh, here we go. I was going to just mention them and tell them that they spine with C+ and noticed. I just want to tell them that they mention this other one. Notice this this page. Noticed your spine C GitHub mentions an unofficial C++ runtime. Later discovered you there's an official one now. Okay, just wanted to let them know. I know I would like to know that. Alright, so what can we do in the meantime? We could start looking at this other animation, so kind of like jumping back to this thing that I said I wasn't going to do, but maybe it makes sense to do it. Is like, hey, maybe we should actually read a binary file here, and I could generate one somehow. Like, maybe we could do this. Okay, we'll do this. Just for now, we're going to generate a. So we want to make a read. No, a write stream. Write stream. Utility write stream .hpp. We're also going to need the read stream. And so at the end, we'll end up also wanting the file include file.h. Yeah. Because what we're going to want to do here is to just like generate this binary file. And then once it's generated, we can just keep loading it. And so then it'll be all set up. So whenever we do end up adding in that asset pipeline, we have this part already set up. Is there anywhere we can see the past companies, projects you've worked on? Past game is here, Korea. And that is what I've pretty much only done for games. That is, yeah. Is this Korea? I've made like 1 or 2 smaller games, but they're not available publicly. And I have been working for myself pretty much this entire time. If you have any other questions, though, you're more than welcome to ask. There's some information down below about who I am, I believe. I think there's a who. Yeah, I need to update that. It's a little outdated. Little outdated. Just a little. So yeah, what we're going to end up wanting to do is save this file at like data animations .dat or something. I don't know, something along those lines. So we need to populate this. So I think what we're going to do is, oh, that's true, is that? Oh no, that's fine, that's fine. We just need to say, it's fine to have it be a hash. So like for auto, say key and value or group. What is that? It's the index. So this is the key, and group index. I guess that's what we can go with. We want to iterate through all of our indices. And I guess first off, we need to write out stream. Oh, that's right. We just append it like that. Kind of forgot we did that. Indices, size. And so one interesting thing is that like this is a size T, which is a uint 32. And so this is kind of weird in that like I don't really know. I guess I just have to make it so it's a size T whenever I read it. That makes sense. So stream. So we write out the size into the stream, and then what we want to do is put in the group key, and then the group index, stream group index. Right? I think we need to do this. I think this makes the most sense. And then we need to iterate through all of the animations within that group, right? I think this works. We could possibly have it set up another way. And then convert it here. That's true. We could do it like that. Like, we could say have... I guess I am doing it like that, huh? How else could we set this up? You know, technically, if we're doing it this way, we don't even need to... We could do them... We don't have to put them all next to each other. We could just write out, here's all the group keys and the group indices. And then... It's a vector. So it'd be... Oh, weird, huh? Maybe it does make sense to do it like that. Put this in here and say this is going to be for the animation indices for that group index. And so this is the animation key and animation index. And then if we really want to, with this animation index, we can store the animation here as well. That we don't technically have to do. It might honestly make more sense to then just iterate through all of the animations. So that would mean that we need to have something like this set up. Whenever we're creating it, we're like adding the animations and we're kind of like creating the keys. Which I think is fine to do. I think it makes the most sense to try to set it up like during the asset pipeline. We want to make this file be as streamlined as possible. You know, the whole point of it is that we're trying to do this up front. One thing that does kind of suck about this is that anytime I change animations, I need to recreate this animation file. Not that bad. It's just like, you know, I have to have it in the pipeline. So it's like, you know, maybe we could even have it so it detects that an animation file changed. And so it knows which ones it has to recreate. And if I was really smart about it, I could even maybe be able to, well, I'd have to change this then. But if I knew like where they were set, then I could update that properly. Yeah, I don't know if that's worth it. We'll see. If it takes a long time to create something like this, it shouldn't. It should be really fast to create this. But I could like have it be set up so I could look up like, oh, this file changed. The animations are stored in these locations. And then it could just go through and update those specific animations and that's it. But yeah, so the other thing here we could do is auto animation for each, for all of the animations. And so we would want to write out the 3 points of data for that, which are the animation, frames, duration, and looped. So we can just write those three out. Animation, our frames, and looped. Oh, and frames, right. Maybe we'll put that last then. And we have to say 4, so the frames, oh, whoops. Oh, that's for the animation, right. So then we say auto frame and animation dot frames. And I don't know why it makes me uncomfortable to do it like the other way. Here we have the frame, duration, offset, and text direct. Oops. Duration, offset, text direct. Okay, cool. So that's it. That's all we need to be able to create it and save it. And so then here, when we want to load it, we can get rid of that. And so we're going to be passed in a read stream here. Should be const, right? Oh, wait. No, it can't be const because we need to have a pointer that's moving where we know where it's located. So that's our stream, and so this is where we're going to need to change some things a bit. Not too much, but this indices size. So this should be a size T. Indices size. Well, I don't really need to initialize it because we're going to be setting it here. And so then what we need to do with that is take our indices and resize it. Resize? Oh, that doesn't make sense, huh? Yeah, that doesn't make sense. because this is yeah, that doesn't make sense. And I actually just realized I messed up in like 2 places here. I need to write to the stream the size of this. How many animations we have there, and then also here, stream animation size. My throat's getting dry. Oh no. And also over here, because unfortunately we can't do for loops there. So what we need to do is say for, well, we have to do it differently. We have to say for size t I equals 0, I is less than the indices size plus I. And then we need to read in the group key and group index. Those are uint32s. And so then we're going to be putting that into here. So we say indices group key is equal to the group index. So we store that, and then using the group index, we need to then do like what is it? Animation indices size. And do the same thing here, but this needs to be like J. So we're just iterating over all of those and populating this. I just dropped my Oreo in my milk. What do? I'm panicking. That's troublesome. Think you just gotta stick your hand in there and pull it out. Or you can get a fork. Another option, pour the milk out onto the ground so you can get your cookie out really fast. That would work too. Or you could just like accept that you're not having an Oreo shake. Just mash it up. Lots of many options. This doesn't have to be bad. You can look at this as like a fortuitous turn of events, and that you can now have something better than just milk. Your milk has evolved. Okay, so then now what we need to do is store this. This is animation indices is our animation. Oh, that's right. This doesn't quite work because we need I wonder if I guess what I should do is say auto ref animation indices is equal to s animation indices for this group index. That's really what I want. And then I can do it like that. This is animation key. It's set to the animation index. That should work. Animations indices. Yeah. One thing I don't like about this interface is that I have to do it like that. Like, it would be kind of nice if I could have this be on one line. Like, it worked. It's kind of nice for some things, but yeah, it might be nice to add in support so I could say, like, hey, read this into this newly, like, if I could define it and also read it into out of the stream at the same time. I don't know. I'll have to look at that. As it, like, if it's possible. So last thing here, we once again need to do a size T for the indices, or this is animations size. Stream animation size. So this is a 4 size T I equals 0. I is less than the animation size increment I. And then we have a bunch of stuff here. So here we actually want to create an animation. So it's not so bad, because we're just going to say, hey, do that. And then we also need to get the frame size here. If I really cared about space, I could probably cut down the frame size to just be like a uint 8 or something instead. Like, we don't need a full uint 32, I think is what it is. Okay, so that's frame size. So we need to do kind of the same thing here. This will be J. We don't really care about what that is. Frames size. We just need to do like a 4 number of times. We need to create a frame, and then read into that. And so then we need to say animation dot frames. Actually, this we could set it. Yeah, I think we could set it here like that, or maybe, yeah, that could possibly work. That probably works. Or, oh, you know what I could do? I know what I can do. What if, one sec. What if we just get a reference of the animation? So if we resize the animation dot frames, then that should work fine. So I could do this. Frame equals animation dot frames J. And then it's a reference, so we're actually changing that. So then I just need to say animation dot frames resize to be, it's resize, right? Yes. It's resize to the frames size. So that way we can just do that. And then we could also do that with this. So we would say that S animations resize to the animations size. And then, wait, couldn't we then just iterate over them and have an auto ref? Wouldn't that just work? Yeah. I mean, it's kind of the same thing, but like if I do that, then I could say, I could just do what we did up here. Can't be const though. Oh, whoops. My bad, my bad. Wrong line. There we go. Okay, and then we don't need that. Cool. That works. So we don't need to save the stream there. I think that's it. I think that's all we need for this. So we can test that out. So we have the generate, we can get rid of that. So we need to add in a generate here, right? Void generate, just generate it once. And then this is going to take a read stream, stream. Yeah, and we will do a class read stream, so that way we don't have to include it in here. That should be fine. And then what we want to do after that is just go to the where, like, I guess this, have it be generated at the start somewhere. Okay, this should compile. Yeah, there we go. Okay, and then we'll go to game. So just somewhere, like we have that load, we can just say animation generate. And then the load, so this is where we need to actually have it be a little bit different. I think we could just use our file system for that though. So we could, kind of like what we do with this load, except where's that at? There we go, load async. That's all I really want to do. It's like load async as a placeholder. I'm trying to remember how to do this. Oh, wait, we don't want, it takes 3. The path, the stream, and the version. Oh, right. Okay, so I guess I should probably change that to take all 3. So we don't need to pass in the handle or that. So wait. Oh, then I don't need to do a bind. Duh. I can just say, hey, this is animation load. But we do need to change that, and the path is going to be data animations dot dat. And so that's doing a load async. If I want, I could do a load. Yeah, I mean, that probably works, right? No, I'm gonna use it down there. I might just want to do a load, not a load async. That still works though, right? Oh, it doesn't. Oh, that's right. It gives me the read stream and the version back. I forgot about that. Right. So in that case, this is a little simpler. Yeah, that's one thing that sucks about this animations.dat file is that it's kind of awkward in that not using the rest of my system, like my whole resource loading system. I don't know if I like that. This should be super streamlined and fast to read. There's probably something, yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of torn on this because it's kind of weird in that like it has all of the animation data. Yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of almost like, yeah, I don't know. I might end up having to undo this, to be honest. I'm not sure about this. Let's do our, what was it? It's the stream and the version. And then we'll just do animation load pass in the stream. And so that should load it for us. Generate it and load it. We'll see. I think that should work. Oh, that's in game.cpp. So I need to have our include read stream. Should this be that? Oh wait, it's utility. Forgot about that. Okay, let's step through this a little bit just to make sure it looks like it's doing the right thing. So here, I mean, we know that's fine, so we can just jump to this. So iterates through all this, sets up group key in that, sets that up, reads our animation key, which is, yeah, the name and then 0. So that's like the names, the move, idle, attack. Then we should have these 3 animations that we iterate over. Yeah, this looks fine. Let's go ahead and jump to here. So we should have like 1, right? Yeah, 1. The group key, group index. This is looking right. I have the animation key and index. This is looking good. Yep. And I stream, read this information into our animation. If we look at our animation, we can see this is all looking good. Yeah. Cool. So now if we just, yeah, nice. Oh yeah, that's right. I removed that. Nice. It works. Cool. So that's we got it so that now we actually have that working, like the loading our animations from a DAT file. I'm honestly not sure if I like this. In some ways, it's really nice that it's like very fast and streamlined, but it does mean that we have to do this. Well, do we? I guess like we could technically have multiple animation.dat files, right? Because we're not clearing out
Oh, we do resize animations here. That's true. If we did not do that, then this would work. Like, we could make it so that this would just append to the current list of animations. And then we could have any number of animation.dat files. So if we want to, we could have them individual, I guess. Yeah. You know, like each entity would have its own animation file, or it could. I don't know. I think this is okay for now. It seems good. It's just a matter of like, is this what we actually will want down the road? And I think we'll have to wait until we really figure out how our like probably how it's going to work is that once we get to our scripting language support, that's when we'll also be figuring out how we want our entities to be defined within like a script or something. And maybe it would be afterwards or so, where it'd be like, you know, at one point for Korea's development, I went through and I figured out like, hey, this is what an item file will look like. This is this is an entity file for the wood item, or this is the entity file for the pump item. And then there's also like monsters and trees and whatnot. And so at some point, I'll figure out what this is going to look like, and maybe it's going to contain the animation data, maybe it won't. And then we will be able to figure out what once we have that structure set up, we can figure out how do we want to actually convert that over, how are we going to want to be playing around with that, because like, yeah, it might be that we want to have it be all put into one file, but it kind of sucks because one downside to this is that then it means that we have to load up all of the entities animations, which is maybe a little wasteful, maybe because we might not be using those entities for this game. Since it's a sandbox game, it might make sense. Yeah, it might make sense to just load them all up because we're going to probably at some point be using them. You know, if this was a game where we were yeah, I could have actually seen that. Maybe. I don't know, maybe. But anyways, it might make sense to associate it with the entities. I don't think we typically will have the same animation data. Maybe sometimes we would. Like, let's say that we... Well, I mean, most of the time this would probably be through Spine, but we would have, like, multiple versions of the same monster or something. I mean, we're not going to, but if we did that, then it might make sense that they would all use the same animation data. It's just, like, slightly different. You know, they're, like, color variations or something. And so then we could reuse the same animation data for multiple entities. But yeah, I don't know. This might be a little restrictive. We'll see. This is a good start. We can figure out later on. Maybe we want to change it so it's reading something else. But I know we want to have something along these lines. Is he muted? Nope. So are we going to implement spine into this or make our own? We will. I'm like 99% sure we'll be using spine. Yeah. But yeah, this is working for now, so I can like disable this generate. Oh, I just realized that it's probably being a little weird. Oh no, it's fine. I would just override it all. That's right. Oh. Maybe not. Maybe that isn't able to do that properly. Oh, whoops. I forgot to resize this, huh? Animation indices. So that's a vector. So that means that we need to be... I think that's all I need to do is say animation indices resize to our animation indices size. Doesn't Spine have its own animation format? Yes. I'm thinking that this will be in conjunction because I don't think we're only going to be using Spine. I don't know, maybe we will. So that's working. That's good. I don't think we're only going to be using Spine. Maybe we will. But I was thinking we can have support for basic spreadsheets as well as Spine. That's the plan. Yeah. Anyways, burritos are here. Burrito hype. And that means that I'm going to call it a stream and go eat. Thank you guys for joining. I really appreciate it. I'll be back tomorrow morning, 8 a.m. Pacific time for day 43, where we will start working on spine integration. So yes, I hope you all have... Oh, hey, Mr. Pound Sign. Sorry, I'm just heading out now. Going to go have some lunch. Hello, though. Hello. But yeah, I'll be back tomorrow. And bye. I hope you all have a good rest of your day and see you tomorrow. Take care.